Hello everybody, and welcome to another video where today I'm going to be reacting to week 4 of the NFL season, giving my sort of takes on all the games that happened this weekend, and what I think is going to happen in the future. First game I want to talk about is between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. In Cincinnati, the Jacksonville Jaguars blow a 14-point lead and in the game and they've lost 19 straight games since they tweeted 1-0 isn't enough in 2020. It was the first week of the season, they won a game, and they haven't won since. It's been over a year. It's been almost 13 months. This game ended up with a 14-point lead for the Jaguars being blown in the third quarter. Trevor Lawrence wasn't terrible in this game, didn't have an interception, and Joe Burrow and Mixon were pretty good and helped give the Bengals a lead, and ultimately ended up with the Bengals winning the game, winning their third game of the season. Second game I want to talk about is the Titans versus Jets. The Jets get their first win of the season. They win a game for the first time since the Cleveland Browns game that happened last year, where they won 2 straight against the Rams and the Browns. This time they beat the Titans after going 0-3. They win in overtime after a missed field goal by Randy Bullock, and the Titans end up losing a pretty terrible game for them. They did not play well. Their offensive line was awful. Derrick Henry had a pretty good game, and Ryan Tannehill was okay, but that wasn't enough. Zach Wilson wasn't bad. He had a pretty awful first weeks of the season, but week 4 was a little different. Yes, the Jets won. The Titans did not play well, like I said, and it's pretty devastating if you're a Titans fan, and you beat my team on a field goal, so now you know how it feels. Lions-Bears, this game was pretty not really that much noteworthy. Jared Goff was pretty good. Justin Fields was okay. And the Lions are still haven't won a game, and the Bears are 2-2. Really nothing really to talk about that game. Colts-Dolphins. The Colts get their first win of the season. Carson Wentz is back from his pretty terrible injury in week 2. And the Dolphins end up losing pretty badly to the Colts 27-17. Jacoby Brissett wasn't bad, but unfortunately they ended up losing, and ultimately it's a pretty good game for the Colts. It was like a must-win game to keep their season alive already, and they were able to win, and now are 1-3 and are like 2 games away from being 500, so it's not totally over. They've got a few more weeks to have to get wins, and if they do, they're pretty good. If they don't, I don't know. Browns-Vikings. This game was another one that's pretty boring. It wasn't that notable. Browns easily beat the Vikings. The Browns, Mayfield did not play that great. He was more just okay. Didn't have a touchdown or interception. Kirk Cousins was okay, having a pick and an interception. Ultimately, the Browns' rushing game was what prevailed. Vikings did not have a rushing game, and they unfortunately lost, and now they are 1-3 on the season. Washington versus Falcons. Washington wins a close game against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta after going up by 4 points in the final 30 seconds and eventually win the game. Matt Ryan had a pretty good game, throwing 4 touchdown passes. Taylor Heineke had 3. Ultimately, great game for the quarterbacks, and the defense is not so much. So far, the Washington defense has been very underwhelming, and that's really caused them to end up only having a 500 record. If the defense was a lot better, this team could have been a dark horse and possibly one that makes the playoffs, but so far, defense hasn't been good. They need to fix that. Texans-Bills, not an important game. This one's pretty boring. Basically, the Bills destroyed the Texans 40-0. Pretty disgusting win. Texans did not play well. Nothing notable on their team. Bills played well. The weather was pretty bad in Buffalo, so I can attribute some of that win to that weather. And ultimately, shouldn't be a win that everybody is thinking the Bills are now the new great team, because the Bills beat the Texans. Yeah, they beat them by 40 points, but it's the Texans. You're supposed to beat them by that much. Giants-Saints. Giants get their first win of this season against the Saints in the Saints Superdome, and it is the first time that the Saints are back in their stadium for the first time in about half a year. Giants win in overtime, and Joe Judge gets his first win of the season. Chiefs-Eagles. Mahomes is perfect in this game, threw 5 touchdown passes, only 1 interception. Jalen Hurts threw 2 touchdown passes. Ultimately, the quarterbacks are great. Defense is not so much. Chiefs scored 6 touchdowns this game to the Eagles 4. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they played a tough matchup and they held their ground for a bit, but after that, they did not, and they lost significantly. Panthers Cowboys. Panthers end up losing the first game of the season. Cowboys get to 3-1. Shouldn't be a game that the Cowboys fans are thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl now, because, well, the Cowboys beat the Panthers. Yes, the Panthers were 3-0 with Sam Darnold and were pretty good in those 3 games, but they played the Jets, the Texans, and the Saints. The Saints are, well, they're 2-2. They lost this week. The Jets and the Texans are 1-3. So yeah, they were 3-0, but it wasn't a 3-0 that's real. Yeah, you get the win, you're 3-1 now, but don't keep your hopes up. It wasn't that impressive because you're playing against a team that didn't have any competition, and you almost blew it as well. They only won by 8 points. Seahawks 49ers. Seahawks get their first win in the last 3 weeks against their division rival 49ers. They showed up finally with the offense clicking. The defense was pretty good. They ended up keeping the 49ers to 21 points. 7 of that, or actually 14 of that, was in the second half. The first quarter was not good for the Seahawks, but the second through fourth quarters were pretty good. The 49ers defense was pretty good in the first quarter, not in the final 3. And it seemed that the table sort of flipped the last 3 quarters, and Seahawks were able to win. Cardinals Rams. Cardinals destroyed the Rams. Cardinals played so well this game. Kyler Murray was great. Matthew Stafford was okay for the Rams. Cooper Kupp was pretty good. But the Cardinals defense wasn't able to do anything. But the Cardinals offense was able to do something. This Cardinals offense was great. They were spectacular. They were able to win easily against a team that was supposed to be an NFC contender. And yes, they still are, playing against a tough team in the Cardinals. But this win, it knocks them down a few pegs. Steelers-Packers. The Steelers end up losing another game, the 3rd straight game for the Steelers against the Green Bay Packers. Packers win 3 straight, so it seems that they sort of flipped the records. Aaron Rodgers was pretty good. Big Ben wasn't good at all. He's not good. He's old. He's washed up. Najee Harris was pretty good for him. Ultimately, the Packers just needed Aaron Rodgers, and he delivered. Played pretty well, and they easily got the win. Ravens Broncos. The Ravens get their 43rd consecutive game with 100 rushing yards. Think about that. That is 43 consecutive games. That is 2 seasons worth and 11 games. Yes, it's 43 consecutive games. That's insane. Lamar Jackson, pretty good for the Ravens. The Broncos did not play well. Drew Lock played in, got a pick, and that was it. Teddy Bridgewater had a touchdown, which was pretty good. But ultimately, the Broncos proved that they had a terrible 3-0 record against 3 terrible teams, and it showed. They played against the Ravens and did not hold up. Buccaneers versus Patriots. Tom Brady's return to Foxborough against Bill Belichick. Brady almost loses to Bill, but they end up getting the win by 2 points. The Buccaneers end up winning with Tom Brady beating Breeze with the passing yards record. Officially has the number 1 spot, and now Brady has the record. He's probably still going to play till he's 50, but now he has that record. Brady is playing well so far. The Buccaneers team has another win. They bounced back from that loss last week. Mac Jones was pretty good for the Patriots, showed some pretty good upside against Tom Brady, and hopefully this Pats team can build on this. Yes, it was a tough loss, but they did keep up with the Bucs and Tom Brady, and that's something that you have to be proud of. And finally, on Monday night, the Raiders versus the Chargers. The Raiders get stunned in LA in front of no fans for the Chargers in SoFi Stadium, and the Chargers destroy the Raiders 28-14. The Raiders end up putting a goose egg on the score in the first half to the Chargers 21, and they end up scoring 14 points, so 2 touchdowns to the Chargers 1, so 7 points. But the Chargers played well. Justin Herbert was great. Austin Eckler was pretty good. Derek Carr was okay. Not as good as he was in the last 3 games, but he was okay. And ended up losing, unfortunately, to the Chargers. Chargers are back in the driver's seat. They are now the leader of the division, if I'm not mistaken, because the Broncos and Raiders lost. And technically, the Chargers have a better divisional record. But, yeah. So they end up getting the win. Justin Herbert was great, and that's pretty good if you're a Charger fan. That's going to do it for this episode. I did a little quicker than my last ones. Just wanted to give quick recaps on all the games. Hopefully you enjoyed. Week 5 is coming up soon. I am going to be doing a wild card video for the wild card games that are happening in the MLB. Hopefully, when basketball and hockey start, I can do those videos too. So a bunch of stuff is going to come up soon. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If your team lost, I'm very sorry. If your team won, that's great. Hopefully they can keep that momentum into next week. And that's going to do it. That's about it. See ya.